Hey guys, long time not doing a video. I'm a tad bit unwell at the moment. Not anything of concern. It's just a standard cold because I'm allowed to leave the house again. Um, but I've not been uploading many videos because, quite frankly, I have thought this deck has been utterly garbage, and I've not been playing it. I've been putting my money where my mouth is, and I've been playing lots of Reanimator, which I think was much better positioned. However, um, I've been feeling more positive about this deck recently. Um, let's get the elephant out of the room here. Ragavan's getting banned. I think anybody that doesn't think Ragavan's getting banned is delusional. Ragavan's clearly going. It's just a matter of time. If Oko's anything to go by, I mean, I said Oko was going to get banned. I think you can go back and look at my videos, the ones where I first said, when we first sideboarded Oko, I said I thought the card should go. I think it lasted another 7 or 8 months after I made that video. Um, that's not to say I'm like a genius. I think it was quite obvious that Oko was getting banned quite early on if you're like not got your blinkers on. Ragavan's clearly too good. Ragavan's going to get banned. So the meta's kind of pointless right now, which is another reason I've not been playing this deck too much. But I've been, Reanimator is fun, killing people with a big 7/7 Gristlebrand, but it's also really fun killing people with a bunch of Icarids and zombie tokens. In fact, I'd say it's more fun. You have a lot more interesting games. Reanimator's very feast or famine. You either are like so ahead that they just scoop, and or you're like so impossible to win the game that you just do nothing basically. You don't really make any relevant game actions. Dredge always seems to be able to do stuff even if what you're doing isn't very impressive. You can still kind of like slow Dredge and like, oh, maybe I can do something. Also, people are like not expecting this deck right now. It's on no one's radar because frankly it's been trash. So it shouldn't be on anyone's radar. But I've been pretty happy with this. I've been running the 4th Icarid Ox of Agonis in the place of the Dread Return and Asher Rider. However, feeling how the meta's been going, I actually felt that maybe the Dread Return and Asher Rider are just better because everyone knows Ragavan's getting banned. I don't think anyone's playing like the tier 1 decks very much in leagues, or at least they're underrepresented compared to what you'd expect in a challenge. So if I was playing in like a showcase or like a challenge or something, I'd probably put the Ox and the Icarid back in. But for leagues, I think this is a good list. Again, for an open meta, when I say open, I mean paper meta, delusional people who don't play on Magic Online will tell you that the paper meta is the real meta. Your friends at your local game store that only own one deck are not the real metagame. MTGO is a lot more representation of what the actual metagame is, especially the challenges, than the whatever you have at your even like 100-person event in paper. It's a lot more what the meta actually is. But in paper you could generally expect more blue decks than online, so again I probably put the Icarid and the Ox of Agonis in. We've seen this list before, there's not much to say. I tested a bunch of stuff. I tried cutting a Lotus Petal, went up to a 4th Putrid Imp, that felt okay. But also the 4th mana source, the 14th mana source feels right. What else have we got going on here? 3 Leyline of Sanctities. I tested 4 out quite heavily. I don't like the sideboard mapping for it. I think it's overkill. Like in my last video, I showed a list with 3 and I was like, you don't want more than 4. I actually tested 4. I said don't want more than 3, sorry. I actually tested 4. I tested 4 quite a bit. I probably want to say I tested like maybe like 10 leagues, maybe more, with 4 Leyline of Sanctities in the board. It's too many. You don't want that many, truthfully. You start having to make cuts that you don't want to make. And Dredge is a deck where, yeah, you want cards to stop losing, but you also want to be able to do your game plan. There's only so many slots that you can mess with before it starts actually affecting the deck. Because there's so many slots in this deck that you just can't really change. 3 Leyline of Sanctity. Ray of Revelations is just like really good right now. It's good against Saga. I've even considered possibly against Leyline decks just bringing it in as like 2 mana Nature's Claim. I've not been doing that, but I've considered maybe that's actually worth it just as like a 6th Leyline answer. Chain of Vapor's there as a hedge against the Leyline D&T decks, because they also ran a bunch of other stuff, like they ran a Cage, they ran some Containment Priests or something as well, they ran a Peacekeeper. But the Leyline, the Yorion D&T has stuck around, but the Leyline in the sideboard has not stuck around, which is I'm grateful for, frankly. I thought it was a bit... It seemed like it was the sort of thing that only works while people aren't expecting it. As soon as people expect Leyline from D&T, it stops working. Yeah, we've got the Ox and the Icarid in the sideboard. I talked about that already. We've got 1 on Memory's Journey and 2 Leyline of the Voids. The Memory's Journey is serving sort of double duty as like graveyard hate. It's alright against Reanimator and Oops All Spells. I wouldn't bring it against Dredge or Hogak, but it's good against those 2 decks. Even though they're not especially represented, though I think Reanimator should see more play right now. And it also serves double duty against Doomsday, though I've never actually got anyone with it who plays Doomsday. I feel like forcing them to play around it's maybe worth something. Then maybe you're better off just having another enabler. It's good against Painter as well, which is actually a real deck right now. Painter's legit at the moment, and they often don't expect you to be able to just like shuffle 3 cards in after getting grindstoned. Can make things a bit awkward for them. Yeah, that's pretty much all to say. Let's run it through a league, see if this deck still sucks. I've been running pretty decent with it right now, so hopefully it goes pretty. Hey, it's me from the future. In my infinite wisdom, I managed to screw up my recording by recording at the wrong resolution while capturing in 1080p on OBS. It basically was chopping off. You couldn't see my hand. You couldn't see the chat. It was just a complete disaster, basically. So I thought, well, what do? Do I try and keep the same audio and then step through it in the replay? Or just record a new league? I thought the league was really cool. There were some really interesting matches, as you'll see. So I didn't really want to re-record it. Yeah, I noticed I'm against Lightwalker. Lightwalker is a known Painter player. He's also a known Painter player with Leyline of the Void in the sideboard. He's probably the only known Painter player with Leyline of the Void in the sideboard. But I played against him so much that I know, like, I've probably played against this dude like more than 10 times, and like almost every time he's had Leyline of the Void in the sideboard. So I know what I'm up against here. It's probably Painter with Leyline of the Void. So I keep a 7, no Dredger, but this is a fine keep. I wouldn't mull this. This is also a good hand against like anything. I open on Cephalid Colosseum. This is the only reason I do this is because I'm aware that he is a Painter player, and I immediately get Simian Spirit Guide Pyroblasted on my Careful Study, which actually, given how I opened here, makes a lot of sense. Like opening Cephalid Colosseum Careful Study, the chances are I'm not going to have a second Careful Study because I only play 2. I'm not open with an LED, which is like a standard opening. So by Pyroblasting this, he's probably thinking, well, Cephalid Colosseum probably his only land because he's open with it. and also that. I wasn't even intentionally trying to bait out this play. That wasn't my intention. The reason why I played out the Cephalid Colosseum was if he's on Painter, one, I want to play out my blue card first anyway, so it's like marginally better if I draw a red card and then he like wastes me or something, because I wouldn't be able to, like, if I play out Mana Confluence, draw into a looting and then get wasted. But if I don't get wasted, it's the same anyway. But also if I draw second Cephalid Colosseum Lion's Eye Diamond, with the way that my hand is, I'll actually want to play out the second Cephalid Colosseum, break through off of the two Cephalid Colosseums, and then have a Lion's Eye Diamond, and then I could crack Lion's Eye Diamond, Cephalid Colosseum, Cephalid Colosseum. That's the reason why I played out this land. So yeah, opponent goes Painter turn one, spooky. So I'm just like, hope you don't have Grindstone. So I draw a Grave Troll for my turn, which is obviously perfect, so I Cabal Therapy myself. Take out Golgari Grave Troll, breakthrough, hit a Narcomoeba, great, hit a Thug, great, I can hide this, hit, no more Dredges, but I do hit a second Cabal Therapy just off the natural draw and another Bridge. With the Hogak in hand, this is probably enough to win the game. Because I could name Grindstone and then whatever other relevant card he has. His hand is Grindstone, which he discards, so he's left with 2 cards in hand. And then I sack Hogak, play it again. This puts him dead on boards with blocks if he activates Ancient Tomb. I basically put him in a situation where he can't activate Ancient Tomb. Like, he'll block here, he'll go to take 8, 6, 17. He'll go to 1 if he doesn't activate Ancient Tomb, which makes it super awkward for him to win the game because his hand is Ancient Tomb, City of Traitors. So yeah, he scoops off his cards. That was a very quick game 1. So I know he's on Leyline, so how do I sideboard? Let's look at that, because you won't see me sideboarding. So I bring in, well, I already have the Dread Return and the Ashen Rider in. I looked up his list actually. I looked up his list and I saw he wasn't playing Urza's Saga, which is why I didn't bring in the Ray of Revelation. I take out 2 Careful Studies, 2 Putrid Imps, an Golgari Thug, and a Lotus Petal, and bring in the 4 Nature's Claims, the Chain of Vapor, 4 Nature's Claims and a Chain of Vapor is what I bring in. And I leave the Ashen Rider where it is. The other thing I bring in is the Memories Journey. Sorry, I bring in the Memories Journey. I think that's super important because I find Painter players, well, obviously, they either find hate, so I'm either going to get leylined, or they'll keep a very fast Painter Grindstone kill, and you can often catch them off guard, especially if they're playing the leylines. They're likely not to have an answer to Memory's Journey, like to exile the graveyard, like they'd need like a red elemental blast or something. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards out, 6 cards in. Okay, so this was my 7 that I look at. I know my opponent's mulliganed. I know they're on leyline. This was my 7. So I look at this and I'm like, well, this answers leyline, but after it answers leyline, what does it do? It discards Cabal Therapy to Stinkweed Imp, but I'm not even confident that that's like especially good. Like, I probably lose a game that's just like slow dredging Stinkweed Imps versus Painter. Like, they're not like especially quick, but like to me this didn't seem good enough. Like, especially if he keeps a hand that doesn't have leyline, this is just like not a keepable hand, right? This is like banking on them having leyline. Like, I don't think having a Nature's Claim's like good enough, because my play will be Cabal Therapy, target myself, discard 2 Stinkweed Imps, and he'll immediately know about the Nature's Claim, right? So I won't be able to get him off guard with like, oh, you target me with Grindstone, okay, I Nature's Claim your Painter. It's not going to happen. So I was like, this. I'm not comfortable keeping this. I'm just gonna mulligan. I want a decent hand because I know he doesn't always keep leyline hands. Like he will keep these fast. So I immediately mulligan into this 6, which is just bananas, right? Like, you don't get much better than this. I bottom the Icarid, I keep the 2 Nature's Claims. This is to hedge against double leyline, but it's also to hedge against, like, just having a Nature's Claim's good, right? So he plays that, and he plays a Lotus Petal, which is just... Okay, he's got no lands. Drawing a Mana Confluence is great here, because, as you'll see, I'll get to do some stupid plays with this. So I play out the Mana Confluence past the turn. There's no reason to do anything. There's also no reason to play out the Lion's Eye Diamond into like a potential, I don't know, prismatic ending or something stupid. Like, I assume he's on his stock list, like his most previous stock list, but there's no point, like, he can't counter the Lion's Eye Diamond. There's no reason to play it out. So it goes to end step. I Nature's Claim, and I Nature's Claim. I think I Nature's Claim Leyline Void. I don't mess around. Like, you could be cute and Nature's Claim the Pedal, but I thought I could just do that during my turn anyway, which is what I do. So I Nature's Claim that, and my opponent just scoops. What I'd have done if I'd have untapped is I'd have untapped, Nature's Claim the other Lotus Petal, Gemstone Mine, Lion's Eye Diamond, Faithless Looting, go off. But my opponent was like, well, I've got 4 cards in hand, no lands. Maybe his hand was like a bit bad. He's going to go off here. I'm just going to scoop. But yeah, I think the important thing there was showing that just because it's got a leyline answer doesn't mean you need to keep it. Like, you still want to be able to play Magic. I think that's a very important thing against leyline decks, is you need to have a plan. And that hand had a plan, but it wasn't an especially good plan. And we mulled to a hand with a much better plan. Like, it doesn't take much to be a better plan than that, right? Like, any Nature's Claim plus, like, any loot spell is probably better than that original 7 was. This was just a much better hand all round. Round 2 against Mike Ancona. This 7's not keepable. We mull into an excellent 6. We bottom the Icarid here, I assume. I'm not entirely sure what I do here. My opponent mulls to 5. I lead on Lion's Eye Diamond. I feel like maybe I just go for it here. Oh, I think the reason I didn't just go for it here was I was like, well, what's the odds I get turn 1? Like, off a mull to 5, not that likely. I want to know what my opponent's playing. So I deliberately don't go for breakthrough, I play it slow. I want my opponent to like be lulled into a false sense of security. You keep the Mana Confluence here in case you get wastelanded, obviously. Opponent plays Urza's Saga, which is like awesome information. And now we can just like stick the knife in, just breakthrough gets forced. I mean, we could have ran into that force turn 1. It's whatever. We flashback looting, doing the thing that lets you flashback an Ox if you have Ox, but we don't even have Ox in our main deck, so this was just like a waste of time. But we do it anyway. Yeah, we sacrifice a creature. I anticipate my opponent will scoop. The Saga... So when he plays Saga and forces me, I assumed it's the Echo Emry deck. But then he doesn't scoop, and I see his hand, and I see he's playing Painter. So I'm like, okay. I believe what I do here is I just take Painter, because I don't want him to cast a Painter. The only way I see myself losing, right, is if he, like, goes next turn Painter, then, like, top decks a Grindstone and just, like, mills me out. Like, like, obviously that's unlikely, but I have no Icarids in my graveyard. So I was like, whatever, I'll just take your Painter now. Then I draw a Hogak, and that's good because that means I can put enough power to get through a potential Soul Guide Lantern, and my opponent just scoops. So I'm like, blue-red Painter, 1, wow, what a lot of Painter already in the league, right? So I'm on the draw. This 7's unkeepable. This 6 is not horrendous, but I can do better, I think. So I go to 5 and I regret it. I go to 4 and I regret it even more. But I keep the 4. And the reason I keep the 4 is because this can play through surgical, top deck any land. It's like a reasonable hand. Right, like that's my plan. Opponent goes turn 1 Soul Guide lands, and I'm like, great, okay. Don't even draw a land. So my plan right now is to go to end step, discard the hand size. And play Monkey, and I'm like, great, I love Monkey. Monkey makes me so happy. He plays second Soul Guide Lantern, and I'm like, okay, all right, and a cage, and I'm like, wow, okay, I'm like not winning this game. I'll just get information. I'm not gonna scoop. I'm just gonna like play for info. I discard to hand size, and he just Soul Guide Lanterns it, and then he plays Monkey, and I'm like, whatever. This is just a waste of my time. Like, I'm probably not gonna see that much more Grave Hate than this. Like three permanent spells. Maybe he has some surgicals as well, but I don't count off to play and see. Probably won't use them. I'm just wasting my life. Third round, we open a Great 7. 2 Dredges to play around surgical. Putrid Imp, Grave Troll. I'm not a wuss, so I open on Putrid Imp. Wussier people might just like blind name Therapy on Cage, but I think that's a really good way to lose to Force of Will. So I don't do that. Opponent plays Monkey. So I top deck Faithless Looting, and I'm like, hell yeah, that's a great top deck. And I top deck the Nature's Claim off the Faithless Looting. Oh yeah, I should talk about how I sideboarded as well, because that's a bit strange. So I take out the Ashen Rider and the Dread Return. While I keep Ashen Rider and Dread Return in against the mono red painter, because they often have ensnaring bridge. The blue red painter plays a lot more of a tempo Delver style game, and they tend not to have these prison lock pieces. And because of that, I'd rather just have a more consistent deck that can fight through the counter magic than have like these like silver bullet answers to the lock pieces. Like sometimes maybe you'll get got, or like sometimes maybe Ashen Rider can answer an Urza Saga before it fetches up hate. But you know what's better than having Ashen Rider and Dread Return and answering Urza Saga? Just like having another enabler in hand. Just like not having to mull hands because you've drawn like the Dread Return instead of a Careful Study. Like if you actually like open your hands and you see all the times that you have a Dread Return or an Ashen Rider, and you're like, how would this hand look if I had a Careful Study in either of those spots? You'd be amazed how many times it just increases your keepable hands. So I didn't want to keep that in. I'd rather cut it for something else. I also cut the Lotus Petal, which is a tad bit strange because sometimes these blue-red painter decks can run days, but I wasn't concerned about that as much because they tend not to have wasteland, these blue-red painter decks. What did I bring in? I brought in the Memories Journey again. That was part of the reason why I felt safe cutting the Ashen Rider and Dread Return, because I thought this is kind of my get 'em if they try to just paint to grindstone me, which is normally what the Dread Return and Ashen Rider would do, as well as answering Urza Saga's fetching hate. It would break up the combo so we don't get combo killed. But with the Memories Journey, I'm less concerned about getting combo killed. I also brought in the Ray of Revelation to answer the the Urza Saga. It's easier to just hit one card than hit the 2-card Ashen Rider Dread Return combo. So yeah, it made sense to cut Ashen Rider and Dread Return. Cut the Lotus Petal, brought in a Nature's Claim, just because it's a catch-all card. As I said, I'm not too concerned about getting dazed or whatever, especially on the play. Having a Nature's Claim sometimes nice to answer, you know, the Cage or the 2 Soul Guide Lanterns that we saw. And I'm just like, whatever, I'll just run straight into your... Like, I'm not even necessarily mad if this breakthrough gets countered, because I'm stuck with I've got plays in hand, right? Unless my opponent has surgical here, this game's just over. There's a breakthrough bug at the moment. You see I'm left with this Nature's Claim, even though I breakthrough to X is 0. This is a bug that's been around since Strixhaven. They've not fixed it. I've told them about it. you're sometimes just left with one card in hand after you break through X to 0. In this case, I left the Nature's Claim in hand because I want literally every other card in my graveyard. Like, I'm not going to put the Nature's Claim in hand when I literally want every other one of these cards in my hand, but I'm just not going to cast this Nature's Claim because it's like, it's cheating, right? But like, it's not my fault that it's broken. But like, at the same time, it's bug abuse. If you cast these cards, you can be found out for bug abuse. Don't do it. It's not worth getting banned on MTGO. Frickin' getting my account banned. I'd lose more getting my account banned for stupid shit. My opponent makes a weird attack, right? So my concern is I Cabal Therapy them name Brainstorm, and I see that they have Murktide Regent, Ragavan, Ponder, and they drew and play Misty Rainforest for turn. My concern here is that he ponders into Cage, or he ponders into Soul Guide Lantern, and then exiles my graveyard, because I don't have that big of a board, and then the Murktide Regent's just going to kill me off. But my opponent makes a somewhat confusing play in that he attacks with the Ragavan before pondering, which I think, personally, is a mistake, because it lets me do this. I'm going to double block here. There's no way I don't double block here. I'm happy to lose my bridges to get 4 zombies to potentially play around, like, just cantripping into a piece of grave hate here. Like, it's just a no-brainer. Like, I don't see how he's beating these 6 zombies short of Pyroclasm. And if he Pyroclasms me, then he Pyroclasms me, right? Like, he can't Pyroclasm me here. He's taking... I mean, he can play a Murktide here, but he's taking minimum, if he blocks a zombie, he'll be taking 13 going to 4. And, like, I'm threatening to Ox next turn as well. I know he's not got any dazes or anything. And I hit the Hogak, and I'm going to cast the Hogak. There's no reason not to cast the Hogak. But first I'm going to cast the Ox, and my opponent sees I'm about to Ox him. And he just scoops, because he's got no counters for the Ox. And, yeah, that was a pretty easy game against Painter, except for game 2, where we got 3 pieces of Grave Hate played against us. Right, so I'm against Fuzz65. He's normally a combo player. Whenever I played against this dude, he's been on like Ant, or he's been on like Doomsday, or he's been on like some degenerate combo deck. A man of culture, obviously. We open a 7 that's unkeepable, so we mull. We mull to a 6, which is keepable against any degenerate combo deck, especially something like Doomsday. This is actually a pretty solid hand because it's got Cephalid Colosseum in. I bottom a land, assuming he's on a degenerate combo deck, because it's nice to have the Hogak, but this is greedy. If I wasn't expecting him to be on a degenerate combo deck, that's definitely a misplay, just bottom the Hogak. I draw for turn, I draw Putrid, great draw, amazing draw. Really happy with that draw. So he plays Snow-Covered Island, Ponder, Polluted Delta Pass, and I'm like, is this High Tide? Because I know High Tide's been seeing play. Like, Snow-Covered Island's a bit strange. Polluted Delta's a bit strange as well. So I discard to hand size, Golgari Thug, Dredge it, don't hit anything. So here I play around Days and I Cabal Therapy. And I name... What did I name? I name High Tide. Yeah, I had High Tide on my brain. I was like, what is this? Like, this dude's normally a Storm player. What could he be on? And he's not on High Tide. The second card I was going to name was Brainstorm. That was the second thing that I was going to name. Maybe not naming Brainstorm there was greedy, but I quickly see that this is not a degenerate combo deck. This is Witherbloom Command, Unearth, Grist. Like, clearly this is like some bug value deck. And Grist is a really awkward card because the way Grist's second ability is worded... in fact, someone in the comments can maybe clarify this. If this is an MTGO bug or if this is like actually the intended way it's supposed to work because of the way the abilities are worded. It is, you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, so that's a when, not an if you do, that's a when you do, destroy target creature or planeswalker. That's worded like a triggered ability. And because it's worded like a triggered ability, what happens is that they sacrifice a creature and then your bridges get exiled. before it destroys your creature. So you lose your bridges, and then they kill your creature, which is obviously terrible because they just sacrificed a creature. It's a really awkward card to play against. So I'm obviously quite annoyed because even if I sack the Putrid Imperial, just brainstorm in response and hide the Grist. But whatever, I'm gonna cast Golgari Thug, play into a Careful Study. If he brainstorms, and I brick on Dredges, which is super annoying. I want to hide that I have the Hogak, because it's often a card that people need to play around, right? So hiding it that you've got it's more relevant. He pushes my Putrid Imp, which sucks. So my opponent brainstorms, and letting them brainstorm ends up really screwing me over. My opponent Plague Engineers, which obviously screws me over. So in response to the Icarid trigger, I Cephalid Colosseum myself, because hopefully I'll get some zombies out of it. But really I should never have let him brainstorm. I should have just took brainstorm instead of High Tide. I just had like the mental assumption that this dude would be playing some degenerate combo deck because that's what he normally plays. So I've got Dread Return, Ashen Rider and Graveyard. So this game's pretty over as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't see how we lose here. We just make a bajillion zombies and he scoops. So that's pretty standard game one. But of course these bug decks, my assumption is now that these bug decks would be on endurance, but a while ago these sort of bug decks would sometimes just be on ley lines. They just leyline you. You'd be like, oh, maybe they'll have like nihil spell bombs and stuff, and then you just get leylined, and you're like, well, why? Why'd you do that to me? It's a bit cheesy. I think it's just a surprise tactic. So how do we sideboard here? I don't sideboard for ley lines. I assume he's on endurances. As you can see, I've brought in the 3 Leyline of Sanctities. I've brought in took out the Dread Return, took out the Ashen Rider, brought in the Ox, left the 4th Icarid in the sideboard, took out a Careful Study. So I've got 4 breakthroughs. Normally what you do against like a Bant deck is you take out a breakthrough and have an Icarid because they exile your Icarids with like Swords to Plowshares and stuff. So it's good to have like 4 Icarids in that matchup. But versus this bug deck, I'm like, well, he's not going to be exiling my Icarids very much. So I'm going to just have 3 and have an extra breakthrough. Like, the other thing is I didn't know how many counterspells he had, right? Like, I saw 0 counterspells game 1. That 7 was unkeepable. I saw 0 counterspells game 1. Maybe he's just like... there are, like, value bug decks that just have cantrips but no forces. That is a thing. Because they're like so in on like not being dead cards in these value things, and he just leylines me, and my leyline of Sanctity looks a bit stupid here, but I show him it anyway because why the hell not. And I don't have a land. I keep this thinking, oh, this is a good hand against endurance, drawing any lands live here. I just get leylined. I'm just playing out. I want to see how many leylines he's got. I want to see if he's got other cards, and he jaces, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is one of these kind of decks. I'm just like playing. What I want to do is I want to find another land. So he plays a second Leyline of the Void, so I'm like, oh, this isn't just like a cheese one of Leyline thing, because that's another thing that happens. Sometimes these bug decks just run one of Leylines, and you don't want to sideboard for that. So I know he's not playing. He's playing multiple Leylines, so okay, I need to respect this. And I'm not scooping here because I want to cast a Cabal Therapy. That's my plan here. I want to get some info, see what the hell's going on, see if he's got endurances in hand and stuff as well. But my deck's not giving me a land, so there's lots of backwards and forwards. My opponent's playing cards. What they're playing doesn't matter because we're not doing anything here. But he's got Brazen Borrows, he's got Sylvan Libraries, and I just scoop because I'm like, oh, this is exactly lethal on board. I'm not going to get another turn to draw a land. I never drew the land that I was wanting, so I was like, okay, whatever. I've seen 2 Leylines. I'm going to sideboard for Leylines in game 3. Right, so game 3. Let's look at sideboarding. Okay, out comes both the Careful Studies and a Putrid Imp and a Breakthrough. We leave the Ox Vagonus in. Out comes a pedal. We've got 4 Nature's Claims, a Chain of Vapor, and I brought in the Ray of Revelation as well. My thoughts about Ray of Revelation was, well, it's an answer to, like, against these Force of Will. Well, I haven't seen a Force, but I assume he's got a Force because he's blue. Against these Force Leyline decks, it's good just to have as many Leyline answers as possible, right? Also, Ray of Revelation does double duty of removing Sylvan Library, which can be a problematic card because it can dig them a lot deeper into their deck and find hate pieces that are a problem. So I thought bringing a one-of Ray of Revelation is not like terrible here, because it's not just answering Leyline like that. There are other targets for it, and as I said, they might have forces. I want to be as Leyline answer dense as possible here. So 2 Lotus Petals come out, 2 Careful Studies come out, a Breakthrough and a Putrid Imp. That's 6 cards. And then the Ashen Rider and the Red Return, that's 8 cards come out. In comes the 6 Leyline answers, Ox of Agonis, and what's the other card that comes in? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh wait, 7. I've got Breakthrough, Careful Study, Lotus Petal, Ashen Rider, Dread Return, Putrid Imp, and then I bring in the 6 Leyline answers and the Ox. There we go. Math's hard, people. So let's look at this hand. What's good about this hand? It's got a Leyline answer. If we draw a land off the top, we can Cabal Therapy ourselves. We can also discard to hand size pretty easily as well, because we've got 7 cards in hand. Even if we need to answer the Leyline with the Chain of Vapor, it's not inconceivable that we can discard to hand size. And then if we draw a land, we can use the Cephalic Colosseum. What's bad about it? We're reliant on drawing another mana source to really do anything. All it does is answer Leyline of the Void. And it's got 2 Narcomoebas in. So I don't actually like this hand very much. I mull it again. This is not keepable. We get this 5, and it doesn't have a Leyline answer, but boy is it a good 5. And I bottom the Gemstone Mine. Obviously that's the immediate bottom. But the second one's a little more complicated. You'd probably be like, snap off 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds, right? I keep the Cabal Therapy, thinking, well, if they've got Force of Will, I want to be able to take their forces and then answer their Leylines if they Leyline me. Whereas if I keep 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds, like, there's no guarantee that this second Lion's Eye Diamond will even be much use. Like, often 1 Lion's Eye Diamond is enough to get there. And if I'm under Leyline, Lion's Eye Diamond does nothing, right? It's just a dead card. So my thoughts are, well, I'll keep the Cabal Therapy to answer Leyline. But in hindsight, to help push through the Leyline answer. But in hindsight, I think that was a mistake. I think what I was supposed to do was keep both Lion's Eye Diamonds, because it's freaking Lion's Eye Diamond. Just keep it. Why would you not keep it? My Lion's Eye Diamond gets forced here and he doesn't have a Leyline, and I'm like, ugh. And I've got 2 options. I can either Cabal Therapy myself, which is a play, but I don't especially like the play. But maybe it was the better play here. It's like, if he's got another force, I don't want him to, like, know, oh yeah, he's got to force the Faithless Looting. Like, it really opens yourself up. Like, it makes other cards live. It lets your opponent know what's in your hand. Sometimes there are situations where you've got to do it. But the other thing is, like, if we brick here, like, I don't know, I just think that off a Stinkweed Imp with just 2 dredges, it's often better to just try and high roll something a bit more relevant. Like, if we get a second land off this Faithless Looting, that will turn on Ox. If we hit another looting spell, that's like basically the same thing. I just think on the whole, Cabal Therapying yourself is it shows weakness, I think. And one of the best things about Dredge, I'd say, is that it's very hard, unless you've played a lot of the deck, to tell exactly what's going on. It is very hard to tell the choke points without knowing their hand. It's practically impossible to know where the choke point is in the combo unless you know exactly what's in the hand, because there's so many cases where like you can think, oh well, I forced the first Faithless Looting, and it's just never relevant because we're sitting on a hand of like 3 loot spells and they've just forced a whatever, or they let the first looting resolve and they're going to try and counter the follow-up spells and we just Cephalid Colosseum, right? Like, it's very hard to know. Showing your hand with Cabal Therapy makes that process a lot easier, so I don't like doing that very much. Obviously there are situations where you have to, right? For example, if I had a breakthrough there, I'd have to Cabal Therapy myself. But there are a lot of cards that we can draw here that are good. As I said, second land's obviously really good because it turns on Ox. But as it happens, we draw like nothing relevant. So I actually keep the Chain of Vapor because I'm like, well, maybe this Chain of Vapor will be relevant later. But I'm kicking myself for not keeping this second Lion's Eye Diamond, because that would have pretty much ended the game on the spot. You could have made an argument that, well, maybe I should have opened with looting there. But I think, given that he didn't leyline me, I was inclined to just try and go off there, which was why I led with the Lion's Eye Diamond, like play Faithless doing crack Lion's Eye Diamond. So we dredge and we don't brick. That's obviously really good. I opt not to Cabal Therapy there. I didn't see any need to, but I Cabal Therapy here, and I name Uro because obviously I don't want him Uroing my bridges away, which is obviously the scariest thing here. Oh wait, no, I don't name Uro, which was a complete mistake. Yes, I play this not very well. I should have named Uro, but I was insane because I was like, wow, he's got 2 lands. Maybe he'll cast Ice Fang Quaddle. Maybe he's being cute. Like, a lot of people like keep their Ice Fang Quaddles in hand instead of casting them in response to therapy. I don't know why, but this was just a complete punt. I was supposed to name Uro, and this is just terrible because now he's going to take our bridges. And we feel like idiots. Like, the game's so hard now, right? Like, we're slow dredging, they've got an Uro. But we hit an Icarid, which is really good. They top deck Brainstorm, which is obviously just awful for us. Again, things are not going well. And then a Strix to add insult to injury. The good thing is we hit a Icarid here. And we hit a Narcomoeba, which is nice. So we swing with Icarid. We want him to block because we want the Strix out the way. Like, it's just an annoyance, right? It blocks Hogak. We therapy them here. I think we name Toxic Deluge. Yes. But their hands stack. They've got 2 forces to ponder a second Uro, which is really annoying because it takes our bridges. But I'm not gonna sack the Narcomoeba here. I don't see any reason to. We've got no bridges that are gonna get exiled. My opponent ponders. And really what we're looking for here is another bridge or another Icarid so we can cast this Hogak. Opponent casts Leovold, which is just terrible for us. Like, the worst. Like, straight up abysmal. But we dredge and we hit a bridge from below, which is good because that means we can cast Hogak here. So we've got a game plan. My plan here is I let him get a draw off of Cabal Therapy, which seems bad, but I think is correct. So he top decks. We know he top decks a Force. His hand is exactly Force Uro here. Then we're going to convoke out. And then we get countered, which sucks on the. But we've empty-handed him, right? He can cast Uro here, but it's not the end of the world. And then he wastelands us, which somewhat forces our hand because my plan was to. Well, I was kind of going to bounce this Leovold anyway, but I was wanting to get all the forces out of the hand, but I didn't see any reason to cast it then. But this Wasteland obviously forces our hand here. I'm going to bounce his Leovold to his hand. You could make an argument to bounce the Uro or even the Baleful Strix, but I think bouncing the Leovold's correct. I think Leovold's just a frustrating card, but maybe you can say, well, look, we've already used 2 Cabal therapies. We've only got 2 left. We don't necessarily need to target him, but I thought, well, I can just get rid of the Leovold here pretty nicely. Like, if he bounced anything else and then Cabal therapy to take it out of his hand, he's drawing like 2 cards there off Leovold. So I cast Hogak. Well, cast Hogak, cast Cabal therapy from graveyard, target my opponent. I'm going to name Leovold here. He's got another Baleful Strix. And I'm like, well, this is just annoying. But do I actually care he's got another Baleful Strix? I thought about it and I was like, actually, you know what? I don't think I do. I don't think I do care. I sack the Icarid there instead of the Narcomoeba so that we have a blocker for Uro. And we don't have to chump, like, we don't want to take damage here. And also, it discourages him from swinging. Because if he swings, he'll give us an extra power on board compared to... I mean, obviously we'd sack it, but we'd have to take 6 if we wanted to, like, get the same amount of power as we get as if he swings and we block with Narcomoeba, right? Like, we know he's probably swinging next turn with Uro because he wants the 3 life, he wants to draw a card. So leaving the Narcomoeba on blocks is just kind of free here. We're not planning on blocking with Hogak, I don't think, with the way this game is going. Blocking with Hogak is a possibility, but I didn't think that was what was going to happen based on that. Like, I was doing some maths and I was like, well, if he swings with Uro, he goes up to 21. We're attacking with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 2... well, this is the other thing. We're Cabal therapying here, targeting ourselves. My plan's to take these Stinkweed Imps out so that we can bring back 2 Icarids next turn, because otherwise we can't. And we've also got 1 Dredger, so we could feed an Icarid to an Icarid, but we've only got 3 Icarids in the deck. To me, it seemed better to get black creatures in the graveyard and like put a bigger clock on him, because I know he's got another Baleful Strix coming up. So that's what I do. I want more black cards in the graveyard. I'm like, I'm just going to ignore this Baleful Strix, which is his last card in hand. And I've got this Narcomoeba to block. My opponent plays the Baleful Strix during their turn. And then they play Plague Engineer, which is just abysmal. It's just like the worst possible top deck. I mean, it's probably not the worst possible top deck. Maybe Leyline's worse there. But it's like really bad. It's like one of the worst top decks. Your name's Zombie, which is the correct name here, I think. He doesn't swing with Uro, which I think is actually a punt. But we're going to bring back our Icarids here, and we're going to Dredge Stinkweed Imp, because why not? We want to hit the last Icarid. So we've got some interesting attacks here. Attacking with the Icarids is kind of free. There's no reason not to. And so is attacking with the Hogak. The reason attacking with the Hogak's free is if they block with the Baleful Strix, we get a zombie, which is obviously a 1/1 here, so not so good. But we get an extra body, and then we can just recast Hogak, and they take 7 trample. The other option is that they block with Uro, and they take 2, but then they've got to recast Uro next turn. And they can't keep doing that indefinitely. Like, they're going to run out of... They've only got 5 cards in graveyard. So just attacking with the things that are going to die, so it's kind of free to attack with them. Attacking with Hogak seems like very good for us. And they make... I think this is the worst blocks. I don't get why they didn't block an Icarid with the Uro. They didn't want to give us an extra zombie, I guess, but the zombies are only 1/1s, and they take 3 for it, which I think was actually a punt on there. But it's very hard. This is like very... even if I do say so myself, I think this is quite a complicated board state to combat math out, especially with the Uro, and he's really disincentivized from blocking with Plague Engineer, and he kind of wants a second Baleful Strix around to eat the Oko that's going to come back, and he knows is going to come back. And then this after he makes this block, I'm very happy with that. The fact that he's gone to 5, because I know he's going to Hogak, and if he swings, I've got no bridge to protect. I can just block the Uro with the Hogak, and he's in a really crap spot. Also, next turn we've still got 2 black cards in graveyard, so we know that we can return all of them. He plays Grist, which is just awful. Again, Grist, such an annoying card. He sacks the Baleful Strix to destroy Hogak, obviously, because it's easily the biggest thing. And he swings. And I don't know if he did the math or what, or if he was like, well, I have to do something here. I guess it's the same either way, because this would be blocking an Icarid. But this is actually lethal on board here, even with the 3 life, because we eat a Golgari Thug, we eat a Stinkweed Imp. He can only block 1 of this, and then he's taking 6 plus 3, that's 9. So I'm like, oh, okay, the game's just over here. Yeah, we eat the Hogak. I thought a little bit about whether I should eat the Dredge or eat the Hogak. I decided that at this point in the game, I think I'd rather just try and keep finding more black cards to return more Icarids than have the Hogak, given that he'll need to have like a removal spell or something to not die here. And I thought having access to more black cards potentially to feed more Icarids was more relevant than having a Hogak, which I'm not casting this turn anyway, because I'm like priced into attacking him for lethal, because why wouldn't I just attack for lethal here, right? So that's what I do. And he makes a block, and he does not have a removal spell, and that is the game. That was a very close game. We made a few punts there, like I think in hindsight not keeping the Lion's Eye Diamond at first, there was a punt. You can argue that me not Cabal Therapying myself and then Faithless Looting was a punt. Not naming Uro was 100% a punt. That was almost game-losingly bad. We almost straight up lost the game from not naming Uro. I think I was just like having an aneurysm or something to not think that Uro was like clearly the biggest threat right there, but sometimes you just are a bit stupid. Like, everyone makes mistakes. It's easy to do. Magic's complicated. That's why we enjoy playing it. And yeah, I thought this was a super interesting game, just like how this all played out. Very back and forth. We actually got to use Chain of Vapor, which is crazy. Yeah, I thought that was a good game. And this was the end of the pre-recorded matches, because I realised the error of my ways after this. So the next 2 will be a lot slower paced, but hopefully be a lot more genuine in terms of their reaction. Because as you can see, I didn't even remember what I was doing here. So yeah, thank you for watching. Okay, round 4, I've fixed my setup after realising in round 3 that I was recording only freaking 3/4 of the screen because of the stupid resolution of my big ass monitor. Normally I realise before round 3 of the league, but today I did not. I have nothing to say. We keep this. Now is the question, is it better to keep Putrid or is it better to keep Faithless Looting? Faithless Looting is better if we draw a Lion's Eye Diamond. That's about it. Putrid's better versus other stuff. I think it's like marginal to keep Faithless Looting. But really, that mulligan was terrible. Oh, it's this deck. We get to see Faithless Looting. Might think it's black-red. This is a matchup where having made their Cashman Riders really nice. This is the blue Emry Echo Saga deck, I'm fairly certain. We play this out because I don't imagine that we're going to get Wastelanded. If we do, then I'll feel like an idiot, but also they could just Echo us. I don't just break through X0 here. I don't think that's a winning play. I think your better line is to try and draw another land. Also, yeah, the other reason to play out the thing is it lets us go off next turn, whereas if we didn't play the land off, then we wouldn't be able to go off next turn. Don't Khan me. Please don't Khan me. Am I getting Khaned? Oh no, we're getting the old 3 mana, the old divination, actual divination. I'm glad this card's seeing play. It took Thought Monitor being printed for people to realise actually 1 mana draw 2 is a pretty good card. I don't know why it wasn't seeing play. Like, maybe it could be the argument that like, oh well, if you have 8 copies of them, then it's better. But I don't see how having 8 copies of 1 mana draw 2 is better than having 1 copy of 1 mana draw 2. What is my opponent up to? Well, the planes makes me think that they're not actually on. Again, the breakthrough bug. I'm just going to discard that Dark Amoeba. He knows what the last card in my hand is because I revealed a Faith. Actually, he doesn't because I just cast a Faithless Looting. I'm going to name. He drew 2 cards. I'm going to name Khan the Great Creator, and then I'm going to name Auriok Salvagers, I think. Khan's definitely the scariest card, for sure. Though I think there's no way he doesn't cast Khan last turn. I think there's an argument he wouldn't cast Auriok Salvagers last turn, but what the hell? Unless he drew 2 Khans, that's ridiculous. That's obscene. Oh, he couldn't! Because he didn't have Metalcraft. Wow. That's also ridiculous. So then there's the argument of, well, do I just Dread Return a big Grave Troll? Or do I leave the Dread Return so that I can Ashen Rider and get rid of a potential problem card like Ensnaring Bridge off the top? I think it's better just to leave the Dread Return in the graveyard. It's close though. Yeah, I completely didn't clock that he didn't have Metalcraft with the box Opal. That's really funny. There's a real cost to playing basics in that deck. I'm going to take Urza here. Why are you pausing? Yeah, because even if he top decks Khan, we're still okay here. I mean, what did you think I was going to take? Why if you're going to scoop to that, why'd you scoop? Whatever. So I mean, this is almost definitely as a Saga deck. I think Ox of Agonis is pretty good. I don't exactly know what my opponent's up to. Maybe I do that. I don't really like cutting a land here, but I feel like if they're on like an Echo variant, I want to be able to go fast. I want to have Ox in case they've got like lots of counter spells, and I want to have Ray obviously for. Yeah, I keep this. If we draw a Dredger, this is good. Or if they turn 1 Chalice, this is also good. We're back. I think we name force of will here. Okay. Okay. This is fine though, because next turn we can Narcomoeba, flashback, Cabal Therapy, take their Khan. You have seen my Ashen Rider. You have seen my Narcomoeba, spooky. Okay, so we have the Narcomoeba flashback Cabal Therapy play. Oh, I laugh. Oh, I laugh. Oh, dearie me. My poor opponent is not having a nice time. You gotta do Teferi bounce by Lion's Eye Diamond? Knock yourself out. Frickin' knock yourself out, dude. Oh no, he knows about my breakthrough. Whatever will I do? Yeah. Just gotta draw like a bunch of cards now. How lucky am I feeling? Wait, we need to count cards in graveyard. Now's where it gets awkward. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, I can't count Ox. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll have one card left. But if we hit a Dredger, I think I like just Breakthrough X as 0 here. It's close. It's real close. Never punished. Never, ever, ever punished. So we're doing this now because we really don't want to eat the Dread Return and the Ashen Rider if we don't have to. That kind of sucks. And then we could do this, we could do this, we could do that play I mentioned earlier, the cute one. What a cute play. I think it's such a cute play. I think it's so cute that it works like that, just that you're left with like, I mean, this no Narcomoeba stuff can like go die, right? Well, I guess we had a Narcomoeba in hand. Please don't daze me or something stupid. I don't think I will get dazed, but you never know. Where are the Narcomoebas at? Any Narcomoebas? Emry, he's giving up. No, he's not. I thought that lag was him conceding. It was not, but he probably should, because oh yeah, definitely take that line, Diamond. Yep. We will Dread Return, Ashen Rider, bap. Exile Emry. Flash it back. Take out the Seat of the Synod. Take their Lion's Eye Diamond. We could even take the Teferi. What's the worst thing that could happen next turn? They top deck Echo of Eons, Teferi bouncer thing, flashback. Yeah, I think we would have Cabal Therapy there because we'd be scared of them playing land, drawing lines. Well, drawing lines I don't for turn, playing Island, Teferi bouncing one of our things and top decking Echo, and then shuffling our graveyard. That would probably be the scariest thing that could happen to us. And the only like if they're only drawing one card there, it's not scary like that. Teferi's not drawing them a card. Yeah. 4-0. This is what I mean, man. The deck's been feeling good. The deck's been feeling good. To be fair, we have been getting very lucky this league, but put yourself in situations where you could get lucky, and you'll get lucky. You know what I mean? I have 5 trophies at the moment. I think 2 of them were with Reanimator. I think 3 were with Dredge. I am definitely better with Dredge than I am with Reanimator. But Reanimator gets a lot of shit online. People do not give her enough respect to the GOAT, E.W. Landon. That, like, when I'm gonna get a bit political here, but when Negator77 was top of the leaderboard and had like God knows how many trophies playing Rainbow Depths, everybody was like, oh my god, Rainbow Depths is tier 0, Negator77's like the best player ever. Wow, Rainbow Depths is definitely tier 1, it's got to be one of the best decks in the format, how else can this dude have so many trophies? And then E.W. Landon plays Reanimator every season. Every season. Top of the trophy leaderboard. He came back for the first season in God knows, like, probably like a year and a bit. He topped the trophy leaderboard after, like, not playing for, like, the first couple of months of the thing. Like, by a lot, he was ahead of everyone else. Why do people give so much respect to... Because they're both very similar decks, right? Like, Rainbow Depths and Black Red Reanimator play very similarly. Like, they both get screwed over by, like... if you want to, you can hate them out of the meta, right? Easily. Like, only like if Rainbow Depths was genuinely tier 1, you'd be seeing me sideboarding Caracas, you'd be seeing me sideboarding Wastelands, you'd be seeing me sideboarding like 4 stern dismissals, like all sorts of nonsense. But it wasn't. It was like a fringe deck, right? And it was playing off of the fact that it wasn't like everywhere. Because if it was, people would like be running lots more hate for it. But Eric Landon just puts up results after results after results, and I think everybody's just like, oh, it's just like Reanimator. It just goes through leagues quick. Do you genuinely think? This 4's not good. This 5's not good. I go to 4, I think. I think we go to 3. Okay, this is fine. Maybe we should have kept the 5, but I don't think we do. Like, do you genuinely think the leagues with Rainbow Depths are that much slower than the leagues with Black Red Reanimator? Like, do you think this dude's like slugging out here playing like 2-hour-long leagues with Rainbow Depths? It's not happening. It's not happening. They're probably about as quick as each other if you like know what you're doing with both decks. Maybe Reanimator's slightly quicker, but not so much that you'd be like, oh, it's not just like a speed thing. But everybody's just like, oh, the only reason Eric's at the top is just the deck's so fast. It's not. The dude's just insane. The dude's just like ridiculous at that deck. No one else has put that much time learning in that deck, and it shows. Like there's like JPA. No one says, oh, JPA just doesn't know what he's doing. He's like, oh, it's just a brain dead deck. Like, everybody's like, JPA clearly is like leagues ahead of every other Sneak and Show player on MTGO. Like, that sucks. Like, it's not like game-endingly sucky, but like it sucks a fair bit. I really wanted that Golgari Thug that the Ragavan ate. This is what I mean about Ragavan, man. Stupid. Yeah. I don't know. I think EW Landon, like, I'm not saying everybody just needs to be like, oh my god, EW Landon's amazing. EW Landon's the best player ever. Like, obviously, like, don't be like that. Like, he's a good player. He's not like Jesus, but like the respect that other people get when they're top of the trophy leaderboard, the respect that Eric gets when they're the top of the trophy leaderboard, just, to me, it seems a bit unfair on Eric, because I think Eric is deserving more. Everybody's just used to it, right? Like, everybody's like, well, who cares? Eric's top of the trophy leaderboard. Of course he is. It's Eric. But like, it's not easy. Try playing Black Red Reanimator. Like, it's like, sure, you get your free wins. Like any deck that's like an aggressive, fast combo deck, you get free wins. But like, it's not free. You could definitely play it better. Like, people think there's no way to outplay your opponent. Why did he not delve? Why did he not delve any spells? That's very strange. Unless he's going to play a. Oh, I see. That makes sense. Where are my dredges in before Ragavan steals them? Okay. I'm just dead. Why didn't he swing with Murktide? I'm not dead. Hashtag not dead. Hashtag not dead. Do I lose my... I think I lose my mana if I go to the next phase. This isn't a play that I've ever had to do very often, so... Okay, not hitting another Narcomoeba there really sucks. Yeah, I was correct. I block both of these. He steals my other Narcomoeba. He's stolen 2 Narcomoebas. Oh, is he going to block me? Is he going to block me? I'm actually like amazed that we're in this game, frankly. Like, there's no way we should be in this game. Oh, please abrade my Narcomoeba. Please. In case you aren't aware, if your opponent steals one of your creatures and then destroys it, it gives you bridge tokens, because of the wording of Bridge from Below is very specific. It doesn't care about a creature dying, it cares about creatures being put into graveyards, not about creatures dying. So if whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard, the non-token creature put into your graveyard will obviously be the creature that they've stolen. So yeah. He doesn't do it. That's sad. So here we need to 1 kill off from Marcel, I think. There's not actually that much we can dredge into here that we care about, but we will dredge anyway. I'm leaving as many blockers as possible here, just because I don't think lowering his life total makes too much difference, and I want to be able to power my way through my opponent's forces here. I know he's got force of negation at least. I expect this will get dazed. What? How have I only managed to... Oh, because I bottomed 2 therapies at the start of the game. That's a bit lame. Well, I might just be dead now then, because I know he's got days and fawn. Oh, that's really lame. Maybe I was supposed to swing with everything here. What would that have achieved, actually? Would that have killed? Was I just stupid? Could I have just killed if I swung with everything? Oh my god, did I just punt? Did I just punt the game? Wow. I think I did. Possibly. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like drunk. I guess I assumed I had more things for this, but this will get dazed, I expect. And then I'm going to lose. Oh yeah, the second fawn? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was not paying attention there. That was really loose. I should have swung out with everything. Last card in hands of days. Yeah, loose, 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 loose. That was super loose. We deserve to lose that. I assumed I had more therapies in the graveyard, which was why I did that play. But had I noticed how many therapies I had in graveyard, I had just swung at him directly with everything and tried to kill him, because there was no way I was going to resolve that Drevertown through that. What can you do? Looks like weird Delver. I didn't see any... Let's find... yeah, that was super bad by me. We would have actually won there if we'd just swung out. Sorry, I was too into being the EW London Internet Defence Force and not enough paying attention to the actual game. This hand's like acceptable. We need to like dredge pretty well. We can play around cage. Feel like we might get caged here. Or maybe he had fun and he was trying to like get me by not countering LED. Sometimes people do that. Or he could just have a surgical. Could be any of these things. Whoa, that's really good. Hitting both those marker movers is really good. What did he do with the thing? Did he shuffle? Just shuffle. Yeah, I threw that game. I'm going to check the replay, but I'm like 90% sure I just threw that game last round. I'm actually going to only swing with 2 here. I don't want to like him to bolt me and then like get him with the Ragavan. I'd rather like be able to block the Ragavan than give him a treasure. Keeping them off treasures is a pretty big deal. I mean, I could try and flashback Faithless Looting here, but I'm like almost certain I'll get forced, so I'm like, what's the point? I may as well wait until I have a Cabal Therapy before I try and do that. Like, we're in a pretty commanding position right now. Yeah, it's fine. Now we have a bridge, you can't even kill off our Narcomoebas. Sure. Okay, that's fine. It's like annoying, but like whatever. The other reason not to flash back the Lion's Eye Diamond is if we dredge into Ox, we can like Ox twice. It's obviously a pretty big deal. Narset sucks. Narset's probably going to force us to attack with everything. I think I named Forcible here. Forcible, Flusterstorm, Days, Expressive Iteration. Well, I mean, I'm not just going to run into the counter spells. Dredging Ox obviously gets through all of that. The scariest thing here would be if he like Expressive Iterations into like a removal spell or like a Grave Hate. It looks like he's got Surgicals though, so not too scary. Okay, he's going to bolt one of my Narcomoebas. Whatever. If Ragavan exiles Ox or an Icarid, I'll be annoyed. That's fine. You got another Surgical. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. We have another Narcomoeba in the deck, we also have the Ox in the deck. If we hit the Ox, we've got a pretty sweet play. Punish there because we would have drawn a land, but whatever. Can't help my opponent top decking the nuts, because that was definitely a top deck, that wasn't off the Expressive Iteration. Aye, that Null Rod sucks. Why bring a Null Rod? I think we get dazed here. Sure. Drawing a second Gorgoi Thug isn't actually terrible here, though we need another land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 3 lands left. I don't know. I don't think we played this especially bad. I think we got a bit screwed over by that top deck surgical there. Like, that really screwed us up. But, like, what can you do? Opponent top deck surgical and then null rods us. Oh my god. Please, I need my land. Not like this, not after we punted game 1. I still can't believe I punted game 1 like that. That was so loose. That was so loose. That was a good top deck though. Forces a counter spell at least. Oh, yeah, I forgot there's a Narset in play. That's dumb. Just discard the 2 grave trolls. I really need another land. I really need another land. Haha. Very funny deck. Yeah, I don't think we're going to win this game. The opponent has too many counter spells in hand. They can pretty much just deck us out at this point. There we go, there's the land we're after. I'm fairly certain this will get countered, so I'm going to start with the Narcomoeba. Because that's the one. I don't care if it resolves or not. I care if the thugs resolve. Sure. Wow, that actually resolved. That's crazy. I think I do nothing. Opponent's on 5 though. Pyroblast on Narcomoeba. Sure. You got triple bolt? No, I know you can't have triple bolt because he's got 1 in hand. Sure. Oh, that's really good top deck. You got another 4s? Okay. Spooky how few cards I have left in the deck. Aye, 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 why me? Why me? Oh, he can't activate it. Haha, that's funny. That explains why he was sandbagging it. Do we put ourselves dead to bolt? How are we feeling, boys? I think we do. I think we should have done this pre-combat, but whatever. Hashtag dead to bolt, gang. Hell yeah, I block. Put a putrid imp on top. Don't even think about it. Plays another Ragavan. Sure. You would daze me? You can daze me. This is a crazy game. This is such a crazy game. This hand just mono Ragavans. I think maybe that time we did an attack, we got punished. He conceded! Holy crap! Oh my god! That's such a crazy game! That's such a crazy game. What was his hand? His hand must have just been on fluster effects and stuff. That's crazy. Can't believe we won that. I genuinely can't believe we won that. We got so lucky. We got so lucky there. If only we'd have won game one, but I mean, we've won game two now, so. We probably shouldn't have won that game two there. We got very lucky. This is unkeepable. This is keepable. Oh shit. Okay, this is keepable too. But that 6 was definitely better. This is funny because I think he's holding up Fluster and this plays exactly around Fluster. Okay. Maybe we should have led on Putrid Imp actually since we had 2. God, this would have been so much better if we were had the 6. But what can you do? Oh, that's such a good top deck. That's such a good top deck. That's such an insane top deck actually. Right, I don't want to have 6 here, just in case he's got like gut shot or something stupid. In fact, I'm not going to do that. I want the Narcomoeba to resolve. I want the Narcomoeba to resolve. I'm not gonna suffer the Colosseum in response here. I want the Narcomoeba to resolve. I think we name surgical here. Because of that weird pause there when we discarded that Golgari Thug. That does not make any sense. Why would you take Golgari Thug? Maybe he's got a second surgical. But like this beats second surgical. Wow. Wow. The 5-0. After we punted game 1 as well. We were on fire this league, guys. That's so cool. So cool to have it recorded as well, because I often don't. I mean, I mucked up the first 3 rounds of recording. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I don't know whether I'll try and overlay the original audio or I'll re-record the audio and speed it up a bit. I feel like playing the original recording when, like, I'm never going to have the exact correct pausing, right? So, like, it'll feel off if I try and play the original audio over the thing. Like, my reactions on what's happening won't be genuine because I won't be like reacting to their like pauses and stuff. Let's see what we would have dredged into. Let's see how punished they would have got. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Okay. I mean, they were probably pretty dead here. That is something that you can do. Cephalid Colosseum's just got so many little tricky things there. Like, I was wanting to not get my bridge surgicaled because I had a putrid imp in play, which is like just another creature. So like if he surgicals Narcomoeba there, I'm not too bothered. And he can't surgical Icarid or bridge. So me sacrificing the Narcomoeba to Cabal Therapy there was actually like really good play, I think, overall. You need to think about these kind of things with Cephalid Colosseum. Cephalid Colosseum and Putrid Imp just work so well together, like enabling each other to do things like that, to play around surgical. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy game. So I mean, yeah, based on that league, list's perfect. List's perfect. We saw no endurance. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this league. If you watch my last video, though it was recorded beforehand, I added an addendum to the end of the video where I talked about how the meta was just like endurance everywhere, maverick depth everywhere, saga everywhere. I mean, we saw a fair bit of saga, but overall the league was, what was it? It was Painter with ley lines, Painter, blue red Painter, bug control with ley lines, though we got a bit lucky there, I think. The Echo Emry deck, that's a very popular deck right now. When that deck gets popular, they were playing a weird build. I think they were playing with like planes and stuff. The more all-in versions, very good against, if you run Chalice on 0 against them, it's very good. Just slam a Chalice on 0, it kind of shuts their deck down because they got lots of zeros. Though the ones that have been coming up more recently have been playing a more slow game with the 8 Thoughtcast effects. And then, yeah, we played against, I don't even know what that was, like slow blue-red, almost blue-red control. Like blue-red, it wasn't really blue-red tempo, more like a blue-red mid-range. I guess it's like a blue-red Murktide list. But yeah, there were some crazy games there. And we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th on the leaderboard, tied. That's really good, top 5, which means everybody that comes and sees, everybody that comes to here has to see my obnoxious purple brainstorm picture. So that's good. I mean, this is for those that don't know, this guy's Newton. He's normally on Hello Newton, but he's like smurfing. He was smurfing as something else before, and now he's smurfing as this. He's a very good Elves player, obviously, top of the leaderboard. EW Landon's not anywhere, but I think that's just because he's not playing. Like, it's not that he's not... If he was playing, he'd be winning. Yeah, maybe he'll try and beat it later in the season, give everyone a head start. Anyway, great video. Went really well. Sorry I feel kind of ill here, but hopefully that didn't affect the video too much. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Remember to do all the YouTube algorithm stuff if that excites you. I know I don't really like push all that stuff, but it's always appreciated. Yeah, Dredge, definitely better than it was a few months ago. Definitely feeling more positive about the deck. I was very, very low on the deck, but now I think the deck is pretty well positioned again. It's a fun deck. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you all. Goodbye.